Today, our guests are França and António Gonçalves, and we'll be talking about the importance of transplants and how can a Portuguese company reshape that space. Don't go away. Hello, and welcome to this episode of CRUZAMENTO Podcast. In today's show, we'll talk about the intersection of technology, healthcare, and sustainability. My name is André Correia, and together with me is my friend and co-host, Guedelha.
Hello and welcome to this show. And António, it's a big pleasure to have you here with us today. So maybe our usual first question, in 30 seconds, who is Anna and who is António?
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a medical doctor, intensivist, and beginning as an internist. And I've devoted my life to donation and at a hospital for donation of organs, maintaining brain death donors. Then I was working on emergency room, and all the procedures related to these very severe patients was taking me away. And so I have the management in the emergency room and also clinical director at a hospital. With this experience, I am retired from the hospital and embraced my passion, the donation and transplantation of organs, tissues, and cells. And I've been working 6 years in Portugal in the IPST, Institute for Blood and Transplantation of Portugal. And it was my pleasure, nice place. Since then, I'm working, cooperating with my knowledge, with my support in different places around the world, and the WHO also, and I'm very happy.
And I'm pretty sure there is a link with António, right?
Oh, yes, thanks. My name is António Gonçalves, and I've been working with França for several years ago. And I'm an engineer, not a medical doctor. And I've been working in information systems and adaptation of information systems for different areas, including healthcare. And I've been working in this area, particular area of donation and transplantation since 2014, almost 10 years. Mm-hmm. I'm COO of a company called TransplantHUB.
Thank you very much, and thank you, António. Let's start with the second question. And one of the key objectives that we have at CRUZAMENTO Podcast is to educate our audience. So, Anna, could you educate us all about the most commonly performed types of transplants and the impact that they have on patients' lives and the healthcare systems as well?
Oh, very interesting question. And this is very interesting because the transplantation, it's a new thing. It has less than 50, 60 years. And the latest developments in transplantation give big opportunities for patients who need an organ for life-saving. Mm-hmm. And we have two kinds of opportunities. The life-saving with transplantation of organs, like, for instance, heart, liver, lungs, that can save the life of people. And we have organs and tissues that give more quality to the life of people. And this is very important because the difference, it's, when you talk about death and life, this is quite a challenge and the opportunity having a second life. But when you don't have quality, for instance, think about someone that is blind and with the transplantation of a cornea can see and make the difference. With, for instance, with a little piece of bone can walk normally. With a tendon that we can transplant and help the possibility of moving and doing their life, for burns with skin, a lot of things we can help people having a better life. And this is a huge impact in the quality of life of the people.
It's interesting because the impact is massive, but this is not an easy task, right? Because when we hear about transplantation, we see the movies, we see helicopters, we see ice, organs moving. So maybe here a question to both of you. So what are the primary challenges or bottlenecks in the field of transplantation today, and how can we address them effectively?
I can say that medicine and transplantation is a teamwork. And we have all people participating. We have the donor, the care of the donor, the care of the recipient, all the healthcare professionals in the labs, in the x-rays, in pathology, everywhere within a hospital participate in these tasks. And then the surgeons that do the procurement of the organs, these organs should be packed, live for some limited time in ice with special perfusion techniques. Also, the time for transport of organs from one place of donation to the transplant area is very short.
Can you give us some examples, Anna?
For instance, heart is only 4 hours.
4 hours.
But there is a possibility. Like in Australia, they have long distance to cover.
Sure.
And then they had perfusion machines that can keep the heart functioning during almost 9 hours.
It's already a big
And
impact.
this is a big opportunity for people have a heart transplant. And what applies to the heart applies to other organs with these new machines, new techniques, and innovation plays a very important issue there.
And maybe, António, I think in some countries like Italy, they have an interesting model, right?
Because donation and transplantation is also a very complex logistic problem. Why? Because we have a donor, the donor can give 7, 8 organs, and those organs can go to the north of the country, to the south of the country, and even to another country. Okay, so the logistic process, the expecting time of arrival of the organ, the departure of the organ, the conditions as the organ is going from the donor hospital and arrives to the transplantation hospital are very complex. And in Italy, Italy is the country of fast cars. So they have Ferraris and Lamborghinis that transport the organs from one side to the other. That's it. In Portugal, we have collaboration with our Air Force. That goes from Lisbon to Porto. When they arrive at Porto, goes in a motorcycle to the hospital. So INEM, with our INEM. So it is not only a scientific process, it is a logistic process.
And picking up on that, the complex logistics and all the processes that you have mentioned, can you provide us some insights into how Portugal can improve the transplantation programs and overcome existing barriers? I mean, we don't have those long distances like in Australia, but we have some barriers.
This is a very, very interesting question because it's one of our bottlenecks. And the law is, in this moment, the limitation for pursuing the donation in circulatory arrest controlled.
Okay.
We have the opportunity of doing in Portugal by law, these things should be regulated by law, the opportunity of doing profiting from organs from deceased donors in circulatory arrest that begins outside the hospitals. But inside the hospital it is called controlled donation because someone that has not the possibility of recovering, and with the help of the family, with the help of the friends, we decide, the medical doctors and all the family decides to stop the suffering of that patient. And this patient can give his organs. This is a possibility of giving life beyond their lives themselves. This is very important. And in Portugal, there is a law that forbids this process. And this is a bottleneck that we should go ahead and change it.
That's a very interesting call for action, but I think other countries and legislation, they are slightly different, because I learned that Middle East and Mexico, there are other barriers. Can you just elaborate a bit there?
Yes. For instance, in the Middle East, people think that the mind, the soul, doesn't die. So how come the brain dies if the soul doesn't die? So this is one of the situations where people just don't allow the donation because they think that the mind and the soul doesn't die, for instance.
It's a very cultural element.
Yes.
Very interesting. And please, Anna.
Please.
Yeah.
Every country is different. And the parts of the world in Latin America, the Mexico, for instance, they believe believe in reincarnation, and so the mummies we can find in Mexico, ancient mummies, are so kept for like it was in Egypt before. And the beliefs of people and the culture and any move, any program we think about for donation and transplantation should be according the culture of the country. And that's why we can be flexible, adapt, and for the object of the best for the patient.
Super interesting, a very cultural element. And we already alluded Portugal, Middle East, Mexico now, which brings into mind different countries. And there is a company behind as well the discussion we are having today. So maybe, Antonio, this question goes to you. There are many companies in our country. Portugal is a relatively small country, but there is a willingness to expand internationally. Have you encountered difficulties in this process of international expansion, and what were the key lessons learned from your expansion efforts? And by the way, just tell the mission of the company so that our audience can.
Well, the mission of the company is to develop applications that really goes and add value to the society. That is our main vision and value. And we've encountered. In the case of transplantation, there are two different markets, the American market and the European market.
Okay.
The big companies in the transplantation and donation area are in the American countries. And those are the ones that we find, and there are very big companies that we find all over the world. What is the main issue, what is the main challenge in this interaction with those companies? We are very small. We are a very small company. But we have a huge advantage. We are very flexible. And what we've learned from our experience contacting with those companies is that those companies are a very strict mindset. It's just like IKEA. You go through that arrows and you only go through that arrows. We can go through the different furnitures, we can see, and this type of flexibility gives us a huge advantages for those companies, those US companies. What is our main challenge is the client would say, and you know, no one was ever fired for buying IBM. Or for buying SAP.
I got it, yeah.
So this is our main challenge. So that challenge we must counteract with our flexibility.
And Antonio, here, who are your clients, just so for our audience? Will be
In
hospitals?
terms of transplantation, our main clients are the government,
Okay.
healthcare ministries,
Okay.
and of course OPOs, organ procurement organizations.
Okay.
Those are the ones that logistically arrange the connection between the donor and the transplant and the patients.
And Antonio, I'm going to pick up on that one. So we're talking about TransplantHUB, and you've mentioned that applications, but it's not just a software, it's also a program. Could you elaborate a little bit more on this distinction between just an application and a program?
Yes. Let's divide that question in two parts, the program and the application. For the program part, I will hand it to Ana France.
Yeah.
No pressure.
For instance, what we want is the quality of life of the patient and the outcomes, the big objective and to facilitate the procedure. All these steps are making together to define the flux. It's like in IKEA, like going in like a direction to go and do all the steps, because these are very precise steps that doctors and all should follow. And here, an organ and should be compatible. We cannot transplant an organ that is not compatible. Otherwise, it would be there would be a rejection, and we can do some incompatible transplant, but only in very special cases, and puts enormous problems within the follow-up of the patients. And what to want at all the procedures and have the necessary feedback to the ones who keep the donor and stops with the donations, to the ones who care for the patients and will care for the patients all over his life. They do consultations, they do exams, they keep communicating with the patients and have their feedback. Once more, this kind of innovations gives us the possibility to have what will Antonio talk about, algorithms, to see which is the best organ for the best patient. The patient can profit more from an organ, and what goes next, have or not complications, can this be addressed in time and on time. And one of the main things with the program is that we are looking at an informatic solution in time and online. Everywhere you are, you can be on vacation and you have in the hospital someone who cares for the patient, and this doctor can communicate with you online and show exactly what is the situation, and you can see in your laptop what is the situation of the patient, and you cooperate and you say, do this, do that. And then afterwards, when the patient goes home, starts another matter, the compliance with the procedures and all the tasks with the patient to comply with the medication and the procedures.
And every minute counts on this process. And in terms of the algorithms, Anna mentioned, Antonio.
TransplantHUB is a web-based application. It has also an app, a patient app. I will talk with you later about that. And the application has three main threads: the thread of the donor, the thread of the patient, and the thread of the living donor, okay? And from the first appointment with the doctor in a pre-transplant, in a pre-transplant situation, to the follow-up, everything is registered and is synchronized in the application. when those two threads, the donor thread and the patient thread join together, is when they merge, when we choose the best organ to the best patient. And to choose the best organ to the best patient, we have artificial intelligence algorithms, we have decision trees that manage clinical variables, immunological variables, logistical variables, in order to match the best organ to the best patient.
And Antonio, as we are just coming to an end of our very interesting episode, we have lots of people that are very keen on the tech space. Just elaborate a little bit more on the technology. So, what? Not too much as an engineer. Okay, engineer.
Okay. Imagine a dice. Okay, a dice, a rolling dice, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's focus our attention on the 6. The 6, they have 3 dots on the left-hand side and 3 dots on the right-hand side. Let's put another dot in front of the right side, okay? Then, let's put arrows on the left column, 3 arrows. Then, let's put 3 arrows from 1 dot to the remaining 3 dots on the right side. 3 arrows, 3 arrows, we have 9 arrows. Then we will have 3 arrows from the right-hand side to the final dot, okay? You have managed to imagine a neural network, okay? What happens in that neural network? On the arrows, let's imagine, put a number on top of those arrows, okay? On each dot, let's imagine, put a function. Let's say it multiplies by 2, okay? Now, this is very abstract. Let's go into transplantation. Let's put on the first arrow the Glasgow Coma score. What is the Glasgow Coma score? Okay, what is the Glasgow? It is the amount of distance that we are from St. Peter's.
Okay.
If you are 3, then you are at the door of St. Peter's. If you are 15, you are like us. Okay. Let's put a number on the first arrow. On the second arrow, let's put, for instance, the disease, the cause. What is the cause? Like
car crash.
Bleed? No. Like a bleed in the brain, or like an ischemia event in the brain. But we cannot inject in the neural network words. We will only inject numbers. How can we do that? If it is ischemia, we put an O. If it is hemorrhagic, we put a 1. Okay. On the third one, we put if the patient is intubated or not. The same way, it is not intubation, we put an O. It is not intubation, it puts a 1.
So lots of variables.
Lots of variables, lots. What we do, we multiply the Coma score with the number, as you remember, is on the top of the arrow. It's a 2. 3 plus how can we say multiply times 2, 6. Then it enters on the function, and the function multiplies by 2 again. 6 multiplied by 2, 12. That 12 is the number that will go spread to the other, what we call perceptrons. What is the perceptron? Those dots are perceptrons, and perceptrons make it is like a mimic of our neurons. And our neurons work on the same way.
So therefore, it's the technology that you use behind your software.
Yes, but I didn't finish quite yet. I know that we are in hurry of time. But let's suppose that we have a file history, where we have in each row those different Glasgow, disease or situation, and if it is intubated or not. And we have 500 rows of this with the results.
A number.
It is a number. It was 1, oh, it was a donor. 0, oh, it was a donor. 1, oh, it was a donor. Then we inject that in the neural network. And what is going to do the neural network? It will balance the numbers that are over the arrows. And if they balance, we put some numbers. We inject and we see, well, my accuracy was 80%. Well, let's adjust the numbers in the arrows. Well, my accuracy go up to 85. And with this, this balancing of the numbers on top of the arrows is where the machine learns. So this is the machine learning. It is the balancing of the numbers in the arrows.
Very.
For what purpose? And all this explanation is for just one purpose: determine the possibility of having a notification to the doctor, for a possibility
I like this.
of a donor, of a person that will be in brain death. And this is, we must be a step ahead. We must anticipate. And the doctor should be noticed for notification, receives a notification to verify and to see if this patient is possible donor or not.
Interesting. That's very, very interesting to finish our episode today. And for our audience, I guess you learned a lot, because we have been learning a lot. And today with Antonio and Anna, we talk about so many topics: the complexity of transplantation, the importance of cultural differences, very important. We talk about Portugal, we went to the Middle East, Mexico, how important this is. There was a call to action to our politicians eventually in parliament, legislation. We might need to have a look, and how a company expands abroad from Portugal to other geographies. So maybe last but not least, Anna and Antonio, if our audience wants to find the company online, where should they look?
To our website,
Which is?
TransplantHUB.com.
Beautiful.
All right. Anna, thank you very much. Antonio, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
If you liked the discussion today, push the like button below and subscribe to the YouTube channel or any other means. So we also have the newsletter. You can find us on our website, CRUZAMENTO Podcast.com, and